Now how we met, she's 4 years younger than I am. A little more than 4, maybe a couple of months. But I was with a friend one night, and we were just kind of driving around to these church dances, you know. And we stopped in at this one, and there's this band up there, and Norene was with a member of the band. She played the bass and sang and so on. She was a member of the band. I went up and asked her to dance. And we danced. And I asked her name and so on, and I don't remember names all, but I remembered hers. And as we walked out, I turned to my buddy and I said, hey, the nice thing about this young stuff is you don't have to worry about getting serious. But you know what's unique about that? You can tell them the story when we really met.
Oh, no. I've got so many things I want to tell them.
In the Hudson, they'll tell them that.
No.
Yes.
No, so I didn't get it at your sister.
Mark McGregor and I were hitchhiking to Brigham City.
Yeah, you were.
And who picked us up?
I was with this guy, and he stopped and picked him up. And so I remembered him just so vividly. So when I met him at that dance, I remembered him, but he didn't remember me.
Well, she was sitting in the front seat. Mark and I were dating girls in Brigham City.
Yeah.
And they took us to Brigham City. And then she told me the story. Well, I remember you from 3 years ago, you know.
Wow.
You started out as a teacher making how much?
$3,750.
$3,750 a year.
$3,750 a year. That's $300 a month.
Yeah. And at the airport,
That's $75 a week.
At the airport, I worked 3 nights one week and 4 nights the next week and made $3,900.
And
But I knew I wasn't going to be a teacher long. I only taught 1 year.
and when I go to the grocery store, I take my little brother with me. I couldn't spend more than $7 a week
Yeah.
on groceries. And we did not have health insurance when we had Brad. It cost $300, which is a lot of money. It's $150 the hospital, $150 the doctor. And so we paid $5 a month forever.
The doctors let
to
us
get
pay
that
$5 a month
off.
to pay that off.
Yeah. But we did have health insurance for Diane. So that was.
Well, you pay $10,000 now, so good.
Yeah, I know.
At least.
Well, it was a different
Yeah.
time. Inflation and everything else, you know.
I have to tell you this.
Are you okay?
I thought I wanted 8 kids.
When we got married, she said, we're going to have 8 children. She had 1. She said,
And I
that's
had
it.
Brad. I was lucky to come along.
Diane barely came along.
But we enjoyed.
She has a very low tolerance for pain.
But
Like,
we enjoyed.
bang!
Yeah, right.
We enjoyed our kids so much, and it's really interesting. The older generation had a different idea about kids.
Yeah.
I mean, we were to get things done and do stuff, and I don't think my parents enjoyed us in the fact that they're like we have been with Afton. And aren't they funny? They're so funny. And I used to tell my dad, you should see these kids. They're so funny. And he just thought that was so strange.
Well, my dad, Brad, when he was a little kid, I hugged him one time, and Dad said, you got to be careful with that.
Yeah, and we were very affectionate with our kids.
Of course, when I was born, my dad was 44 years old, or 43, and my mother was 39.
Yeah.
And 4 older brothers, so it was a different relationship between, parents and child when I was born.
There is a story we have to tell about Brad. This
Which one?
the one where 3rd grade and he skipped school.
Oh yeah. Well,
He had a bad influence, Steve Page.
Steve Page, but he skipped school.
You know
What
the
happened?
story.
Here's a lesson, and I was a little harsh with him, but here's a lesson.
Yeah,
Gary had
They
never
skipped
done
school
this.
together. They left in 3rd grade. I went and got, the principal called me, he knew me, and he called me and told me what had happened. I went and got Brad. I took a belt out and gave him about 6 whacks across the rear
Had
end.
never done that before.
I'd never done that to him. Whacked him about 6 times across the rear end.
I thought, oh.
Took him back to school. And I called the principal and I said, he was becoming in. Took him back to school and made him, I didn't take him in. Made him get out of the car and walk in and see the principal.
And Harry had these red
Tears
eyes.
running down
he
his
was
eyes.
crying.
And the principal said he wanted him to stay after school for an hour, a couple of nights to make up the time. And I said, great. Steve Page's mother did nothing. And Steve just went on and on. And
Continue.
you know, one time he came over and Diane had $10 in a place and Steve was in the house and it was gone. And we knew Steve had, took it.
So I called the mother and she went to his hiding place and found it. But
She
there
said,
were
what
never
should
any
I do?
consequences.
She asked me, what should I do? I said, you should make him bring it back and apologize to Diane. There should be a consequence. She didn't know what to do.
But what was
And that
funny
was the
about
worst
Brad,
consequence he'd ever had. That was the worst thing
That was the
he'd
worst
ever had to do.
consequence he'd ever had.
That's
That's the
what I
first time
remember
that she ever made him stand up for anything.
what was funny
To
about
this
Brad,
day, he's an alcoholic. He's in minimum wage jobs. He's been through several divorces. It's just a sad, sad tale, you know.
but Brad, I said, Gary, how could you do that to our son?
I said, I don't want him ever to forget this day.
And he did it.
In high school, when he was a junior in high school, he said, can I skip a day of school and go skiing? And I said, yes, that's fine.
Well, yeah, because mom was the teacher there, so she would say we were gone, we were out of town. Because we were out in Huntsville, which is out of town. We'd go skiing.
Well, the difference was is that he asked
If we
you.
had good
Yeah.
grades, you would
Yeah.
let
Yeah,
us
as
go
long as
skiing.
you-
What was funny is that Brad was in her creative writing class. And they had this thing in class, and she would lay on some homework or something, and he'd say, now, Mom, and all the boys would go, now, Mom. She had a great relationship with them. She loved teenagers.
Oh, I did.
really
It was
loved
so
him.
fun. And I remember one of your friends, Diane, Marla's mother, called me.
Or Stephanie,
Okay.
I think it was Stephanie's mother,
Or
wasn't
maybe
it?
it was Stephanie.
Stephanie or Marla. Yeah.
What Diane was going to seminary in the morning and was going to school, and then she was getting her beautician's thing at school.
Oh, we
You know,
just stayed, yeah.
She's just totally busy all the time. And
And
she
working.
and a group of friends wanted to meet at, where was it, the Village Inn or something. It was late at night. And I had this mother call me and say, oh, what do you think about this? I said, what do you mean? She's a busy girl. She needs to be able to have some time to hang out, you know? And I'm not worried about her. She wanted me to clamp down on Diane so that she...
Because I had the card, so if you said everybody had to be home, if I said everybody had to be home by 11 or something,
Yeah.
they couldn't go out because I was the one that had the card.
Now, Brad,
She's like, it's okay.
she went through school with 6 girls, and they all went to the Y together. You know,
Turn her around and show her how to come down.
And-
Yeah, there you go.
none of them dated until they were 16.
And that wasn't even a rule at that time.
Wasn't even a rule, it was just Diane and her 6 friends who decided that was a rule. They all went to the Y together and everything else. But Brad was a different matter. Brad was a Francis, kind of challenging, and he was kind of like I was when I was raised. But he
So you
went
named
over,
Jordan the right way. No.
That's right.
he went over with Cale Thompson and some of his buddy, and they were over to this Grizzly Bear Pizza place or something. And Cale and Brad and a couple of his buddies came out and they had beers. And they threw them in the parking lot. The police came. Brad was in the Bronco. I was a little bit upset with this. Instead of calling me, they impounded the car, which cost you about $60 to $80 to get it out. Then he brought him home to me, and I was downstairs asleep.
Brad comes down. Dad,
Dad, he says,
Dad.
there's someone wants to see you in the living room. I says,
tell him to go
Brad,
away.
it's 11 o'clock, tell him to...
Come back tomorrow.
And a few minutes went by and he said, Dad, he says, it's a policeman, he wants to talk to you. So I went upstairs, this is a twist now. I went upstairs and he told me what happened. I said, okay. He says, now, I will not give him any tickets if he will be a narc for us at Bonneville High School. I said, now wait a minute. You're asking someone who's a juvenile, underage, under 18, to be a narcotics snitch for you at the high school. And if you do that, you're in essence blackmailing him. That if he'll do that, you won't give him a ticket.
You said give him a ticket.
I said, give him a ticket.
Pay for that.
I said, you're way out of line. I mean, I was upset with Brad, but I was just as upset with this police officer. Well, we had a friend who was a police officer in the terrace case. This is South Ogden. So I called Pat Baggs the next day and I said, Pat, what do you think of this? Oh, he was upset and angry. He said, I'll take care of it. So he called South Ogden Police and really laid it on into them. We never heard another word.
Did you get a ticket or anything?
No.
Oh,
Well, this guy was lucky to get out of it that
That would have been evidence that was not available in court
easy.
either.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I mean, he-
and Gary, we always made Brad
Oh, yeah.
suffer the logical consequences of his acts.
Well, he had an accident with his little car one time because he didn't pay attention. He pulled out in front of somebody. He had to ride, and he was going to Weber State for 4 months, or 3 months. He had to ride his bike to Weber State while Dennis was repairing his car down at Bountiful at his shop. And Brad and I would get out and work on it. So for 4 months he rode a bicycle because he wrecked his car. And we didn't drive him up. You know, we didn't give him a car. That was just a natural consequence of
That's
what
what we were
happened.
talking about that today.
Yeah.